This video will demonstrate how to use a one-input data table in the context of the retirement plan. So the original reason I came up with this retirement schedule, honestly, was just personal financial planning years ago on my own retirement planning. So to help me know how much I would need to have in retirement or how much I would get under different scenarios, I developed a spreadsheet and have kind of tweaked it over the years, just in terms of how it works, and gradually made it an assignment in different classes, partly so students would learn or largely so students would learn the various tools used in it, the VLOOKUPs and the if functions and so forth, but also so initially traditional students would learn time value of money and the notion of contributing early at an earlier age. The downside of it is, at least as it's set up here, is you only see one scenario at a time and it makes it harder to compare. So the advantage of going to a data table like this is you can compare a number of different scenarios depending on what data point you're wanting to change. So the table will look something like you see here at the top, where we'll cross the top in this row, we'll have either formulas or cell references. And in this column here, we'll have the various changes in the data input. So in this case, we're going to say, what if we change the interest rate? So our table is going to look like this. Okay, so first of all, we have input cells over here on the left, and this is basically our formula structure. So what I've done here, this is the same information we had over on the retirement schedule at the top here. We're just putting it in again. So these formulas are independent of those over there. And recall, on the original retirement schedule, I had on the very first video, I showed you how you could calculate the balance at retirement without using the schedule. The schedule works for different features, mainly so you can watch the balance get accumulated month by month and then begin reduced through the distributions once those start. And then we actually watch it happening and therefore have more confidence in the results. But you can achieve the same basic calculations through the use of the future value formula and the payment formula, or functions rather. And those are happening here. So we don't really need the schedule to do the calculations. So all these are happening now independent of that original retirement schedule worksheet. So under this scenario, it's at 7%. So we're going to produce a table, and I have this 7% row highlighted just so we can confirm that it's going to produce the same results as we have over here in terms of balance at retirement down here and the monthly benefit you get from that down here. Okay. Now, in constructing this, you need to know that in this cell, in this case cell E30, we would have the either a cell reference to the balance in retirement over here, or a formula, as you see up here, the future value formula. So the future value formula would be simply taking, calculating what's the future value of that monthly contribution, and at this, in this case, 7% annual interest rate. Now it's up here, you're going to divide that by 12 to come up with the monthly interest rate. And then at this using this monthly contribution, and it comes up to this $450,000. Again, that comes up to the same calculation as we had in the original retirement schedule. Now you notice that what's displaying here is where it says balance at retirement, but behind that is actually that calculation. And honestly, for years I didn't know you could do that. But all we're doing here is under the number formatting, and it's being slow for some reason. There we go. So if you go down to custom, and it's displaying text. I just have it displaying the text balance at retirement, and it's literally just displaying that on top of the formula. So that's displaying the text regardless of what that formula kicks out, and it's doing the same thing here. So the monthly benefit is just that payment function, which is the same as you have down here. Now again, you could also just in these cells put a cell reference to these two cells down here. So balance at retirement, you could simply put a cell reference to the balance at retirement cell here and monthly benefit, but I wanted to show you how you can do both. Okay, so then to produce the schedule, all you have to do is highlight this what is now blank table here, and you go up to the data tab and over to what if analysis and data table. All right, so since it's a column input cell here, and then so we're going to go in the column argument box, and then you're going to put a cell reference to this interest rate cell here because that's the one you're working with, and you just click OK. All right, so you can see that. So it instantly produces a table. These are numbers in red, meaning they're negative. That's because the monthly benefit coming out is negative to the account. This contribution, the way this works, it would want it negative coming out of us. That's doing different, but anyway, don't get hung up on that. I'm looking at that as different than I expected. But so notice this column in that's shaded, and that's at 7%. That's just to draw attention to the original data point here, and that way just is a way in essence to confirm, and as a that the calculations are the same. Just to show you, that's also a little bit of a trick. If I wanted to make that original data point be, say, 8%, so if I change it there, notice it bumps down here. And all it's doing that's just an automatic conditional formatting where, and that's set to conditionally format the whole row. So if you look at the conditional format, I'll just say manage rules. So all that's saying is to highlight so when the number for each row, when it equals the interest rate in this cell, B34, then, and you see that B34 here, then highlight the whole row in that red. Otherwise, leave. So it basically looks at each row and says, does this number in the interest rate column equal this number? And if so, we're going to highlight the whole row. So whatever number, if I change that to 11, then it's going to highlight that row. So there's all kinds of ways we can use that conditional formatting. It's a very handy tool. All right, so in the next video, we'll demonstrate how to do the two